Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive shift in the digital world. We're breaking down Yusuf Diem's guide, Hackers Think Ahead, So Should You. And we're going to look at exactly how you can outsmart cybercriminals using structured threat modeling frameworks. So if you're looking to build up those robust digital fortresses and essentially anticipate an attacker's every single move, you are absolutely in the right place. Let's get into it.
You know, we all like to think our applications are locked down and totally secure. It's a comforting thought, right? But here is where we really need to flip our perspective. What if an attacker sees it entirely differently? Try to actually step into the shoes of someone trying to pull off a digital heist. When you look at a system, you see exactly what you built. But an attacker? They look at that exact same system and just see a giant puzzle waiting to be cracked.
See, there's a huge disconnect here. When developers build things, they naturally focus on the good stuff. Features, slick user interfaces, beautifully clean code. But a hacker? They literally could not care less about your clean code. They're scanning for vulnerabilities, hidden access points, the absolute fastest path to your sensitive data. If you're only looking at this with a creator's mindset, you are essentially building blindfolded, and you're leaving the back door wide open for opportunists.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. Think like a hacker. 2. Threat modeling explained. 3. Identifying potential attacks. 4. Prioritizing your security risks. 5. Visualizing the threat landscape. And finally, 6. Tools to secure your app.
All right, phase 1. Think like a hacker.
Cyber threats are evolving fast. So are your defenses actually keeping up? The urgency here is real. Think about it like a physical building. You literally cannot secure a bank if you have no idea how a bank robber might try to break in, right? You have to anticipate the heist if you're going to stop the heist. Adopting this attacker's mindset, it's completely non-negotiable these days.
Moving on to part 2, threat modeling explained.
So what is it? Threat modeling is basically a structured approach to identifying, assessing, and mitigating risks well before they turn into real-world attacks. Based on our source material, this is essentially your ultimate blueprint. It helps us map out the evolving threat landscape and put the exact right security controls in place early on. The goal here is simple. We're no longer just reacting to attacks. We're predicting them.
Which brings us to Section 3, Identifying Potential Attacks.
Let's start things off with an absolute heavyweight in the industry, the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Developed by the MITRE Corporation, this is a massively detailed knowledge base that tracks real-world tactics used by actual cyber attackers. It maps out the entire attack lifecycle for you. Step 1 is initial access, the break-in. Step 2 is navigating platforms, and this covers everything, right? Windows, Linux, macOS, mobile devices. And then finally, Step 3 tracks the getaway, which is data theft. By mapping this whole life cycle out, your security teams can assess risks and detect threats so much more effectively.
Next up, we have the STRIDE model, straight from Microsoft. This is a classic, super widely used framework for categorizing threats. Just follow the acronym. S is for spoofing identity. T is for tampering with data. R is for repudiation, which just means denying an action even took place. I is information disclosure. D is denial of service. And E is elevation of privilege. By tossing risks into these very specific buckets, organizations can prioritize their security and vastly strengthen their overall defense.
All right, Section 4, prioritizing your security risks.
Enter the DREAD model. Because let's be real, you can't fix every single vulnerability at the exact same time. DREAD helps you assess and prioritize based on 5 distinct factors. You've got damage potential, reproducibility, exploitability, affected users, and discoverability. By scoring these 5 things, your team can quickly figure out what the most critical threats actually are. It ensures you're tackling the big, scary stuff first instead of getting bogged down in low-level issues.
And then we have the brilliantly named PASTA model. It stands for Process for Attack Simulation and Threat Analysis. This one is cool because it simulates attack scenarios specifically based on their impact on business objectives. It actually blends software engineering right into risk management. So it's not just about what technically could break, it's about protecting the specific assets that matter most to the survival of the business itself.
I want you to really consider this philosophy for a second. Security isn't a feature, it's an architecture. Security cannot just be something you tack on at the end with a software patch. That doesn't work. It has to be the foundational architecture of literally everything you build. Every secure cloud solution out there is built on 1,000 little decisions that the end users never even see.
Keeping that architectural mindset going, let's look at the TRIKE model. TRIKE, or Taxonomy for Risk Identification, gives you a structured approach that focuses on 4 key things:
assets, threats, vulnerabilities, and countermeasures. This framework is all about the relationship between the threats you face and the vulnerabilities you have. On a daily basis, this is incredibly helpful when your team needs to pick the absolute perfect, tailor-made countermeasure for your custom applications.
Okay, Section 5. Visualizing the threat landscape.
This is exactly where the VAST model comes into play. VAST stands for Visual, Agile, and Simple Threat Modeling. And honestly, the beauty of this one is right there in the name. It totally cuts through the complexity. By using visual representations of the threat landscape, VAST makes communication between stakeholders so much easier. It makes the whole process accessible, highly collaborative, and super efficient. Agile teams can just spot the risks and implement measures without getting lost in endless technical translation.
Finally, Section 6. Tools to secure your app.
The source material highlights two really fantastic tools to help systematize all of this. First up is the Microsoft Threat Modeling tool. This is a highly structured app that analyzes vulnerabilities, visualizes attack paths, and perfectly integrates threat modeling straight into your development lifecycle. On the flip side, you've got OWASP Threat Dragon, which is a great open-source, agile alternative. Developed entirely by the community, it's super user-friendly and gives you these excellent data flow diagrams, templates, and analysis reports to streamline everything from day one.
Well, we have covered a massive amount of ground in this explainer today, from thinking like a hacker to deploying heavy-hitting frameworks like Stride, Dread, and VAST. So I want to leave you with one final provocative question. Have you actually mapped out all the possible threats to your system, or are you just leaving it to chance? Listen, cybersecurity isn't about crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's about structured anticipation. I challenge you to apply these blueprints to your own systems before an attacker does it for you. Thanks for joining me today. Stay curious and stay secure.